Back to Real Talk Sports with Rico. Today, I will be your host. Today's show, we are talking about the NBA season. I'm just going to briefly recap some of the things that have happened through the first couple weeks of the season. Before we jump into the content, let me first and foremost thank Anchor, which is now Spotify Podcasts, for being our house there. And then also, too, I want to go ahead and let you know that you can find us on YouTube under Real Talk Sports with Rico. Next up, I just want to thank the sponsors out there who have put sponsorship on the show and the fans out there who have listened to the show on a week-to-week basis to help us drive content to the show. Also, guys, before we jump into it, we will be talking about the James Harden trade extensively, who won that and who lost that trade, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and jump into the content. Let's start off with the Eastern Conference division here, guys. And so it has been a good NBA season. You guys know I love it when it is NBA time. One of the things I definitely love to talk about here. And let us jump right into the standings. And then also, too, guys, I've got some graphics up here. So let me go ahead and throw that up on the screen. And so we're starting with the Philadelphia 76ers, who honestly just made a huge trade. And we'll be talking about that here in a moment, where essentially James Harden is now moved over from the 76ers. He will be playing with the Los Angeles Clippers now. And also, too, it looks like Philadelphia's got a ton of players that came over in this deal. Essentially, Marcus Morris, Nicholas Batum. You have Robert Covington, Kenyon Martin Jr. They got a 2028 first-round pick out of this, which is unprotected. They got a first-round pick swap as well, and two future second-rounders that went over to the 76ers. The Clippers got James Harden, PJ Tucker, and they also got a future first-round pick as well. And like I said, once again, we'll be jumping into that. But Philadelphia is actually one of my surprise teams because of this. Even though that they have gone on and they have moved on from James Harden, the fact that they are actually sitting second in the West, or excuse me, in the East, has been very impressive. And they are 4-1 here. They only lost on opening night to the Milwaukee Bucks, and a tough Milwaukee Bucks team, and they only lost by one. The fact that Joel Embiid has been so locked in here, and how about Tyrese Maxey? The fact that Tyrese Maxey has completely taken off here, and a young man that I have on the screen right now, if you're looking at the podcast, you're seeing Kelly Oubre Jr. This guy has been incredible. I think his time spent in Golden State and then also to Charlotte as well has definitely primed him for this. And not to take away from his years that he played with the Washington Wizards as well. If you remember, he broke into the NBA as a Washington Wizard. So the fact that he's been able to come in and play so exceptional here, this has been terrific for the Philadelphia 76ers. And I'm guessing that they couldn't have envisioned a better start. Next up, another team that has been quite a surprise has been the Atlanta Hawks. Right now, they're sitting third in the Eastern Conference here at 4-2. Remember, they had actually moved on from Nate McMillan in a kind of a surprising deal because Nate McMillan had really helped turn this franchise around. But the one key about the Atlanta Hawks has been Jalen Johnson. I think what Jalen Johnson has been able to do, a young man out of Duke, he was the 20th pick in the 2021 draft at 6'8". He really has like a 7-foot wingspan here, but he is averaging 14 points a game, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists. This is a guy that has stepped in here for John Collins. He is playing exceptionally well here in year two. One of the quieter young guys that I've ever seen too as well. I got a chance to I was around him a little bit at the Summer League, and man, very humbled guy, man. So I definitely like Jalen Johnson. I'm glad that he's having a breakout season here. But when you look at the roster, man, DeAndre Hunter, Trae Young, yes, they have Patty Mills over here. They have DeJounte Murray, but they have a lot of guys that are younger that are actually starting to just mature and kind of play into their rotational role. In Conway, I think in Kongwu, excuse me. He played with Lonzo Ball, the 6th pick in the 2020 draft. He's starting to really play well out of USC. Clint Capella has kind of taken a step back. And so just the way that the Hawks have been able to put it together, I think that this has been very impressive to start off the Eastern Conference. And then looking at the Orlando Magic, I think that yet again, we're looking at another team that the Orlando Magic really had a great showing, I believe, at the end of last season. I think the fact that they were able to come on out and kind of bottle that up and still play well, I think bodes well for the Orlando Magic. I love the fact that it starts with Pablo Benchero. I think that he's played okay, but I've been really surprised at the fact that they have not really gotten what they needed out of their center play. I thought that they were going to get a lot more in Wendell Carter Jr., but he's really struggled with his shot thus far. And the fact that they have actually had Morris Wagner kind of step in, which is Franz Wagner's older brother, who was actually a lottery pick for the Lakers back in the day. He's played exceptionally well at the center. He stepped in well for them, and a lot of their young guys have played well too. Jalen Suggs has kind of really settled in for that secondary role coming off the bench. You have some good output that they are getting, obviously from Cole Anthony, who has obviously been a bench leader for them. But when I look at this roster, I mean, they got a lot of young pieces, and the fact that they're fourth in the East thus far and they're really gelling together, they still don't have Jonathan Isaac back. Like, I'm looking at this roster, Anthony Black, you guys know I love him out of Arkansas. He was the sixth pick in 2023. Jonathan Isaac, the sixth pick in 2017. 16th pick here, or fifth pick in the draft, 2021. Jalen Suggs, first pick in the draft. Pablo Benchero, 15th pick in the 2020 draft. Cole Anthony. So they have a lot of young pieces here. And I think once they really come together, maybe add a veteran or two. I'm not sure if Gary Harris is going to be that guy. Martellus Fultz has really become a veteran at this point in time now. He's really starting to play well and has really embraced kind of that coming off the bench role. So kudos to the Orlando Magic for the way that they've been able to play. Another one of my surprises here has got to be what is going on with the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks at this point in time, they are now fifth in the Eastern Conference at 3-2. They've looked good, but they haven't looked great. I thought that they were going to look a lot better than what they have been. Dame Lillard, for the most part, has been a little bit of an up and down sequence for him. I mean, he is averaging 23 points a game, 4.6 rebounds, and 4.6 assists a game. But, I mean, when you look at the stat sheet, there have been times and there have been some games where he has really struggled, dating back to, again, Milwaukee versus the Atlanta Hawks. He only had 6 points in that one, 2 of 12. I'm looking at the opening night. He did have 39, but he was 9 of 20 there. And then he's had a 7 of 14 game coming back against Miami, where he had 25 there, just coming off of 4 of 9 shooting against Toronto. So the points and the shooting percentage have been up and down for Dame, and I think he's still trying to get adjusted here. And I also think, too, Milwaukee is still trying to get adjusted really as a team to some of the depth that they lost, no longer having Drew Holiday. That has forced guys like Malik Beasley into the starting lineup, and he's been up and down with his shooting. Bobby Portis has had to take on a lot more responsibility off the bench. Cameron Payne is kind of settling in now to his new role for Milwaukee. And this is the first job for AJ Griffin as well. So this has been a situation where it has not gone necessarily as smoothly as the Milwaukee Bucks would want, but they are on pace. I would say not to panic here, as they're still on line for a good season. You have Brooklyn sitting at 6, the Pacers sitting at 7th, the Charlotte Hornets at 8, the Miami Heat at 9, and then you have the New York Knicks falling in here at 10th, and you have the Cleveland Cavaliers at 11, the Chicago Bulls at 14. So out of those 3 teams, I've been very surprised with the Knicks. I've been very surprised with the Cavs, and I've been extremely surprised with the Chicago Bulls. Starting with the Chicago Bulls, I think that, they're coming in at 2-5. I've looked at their games extensively, guys. You guys know I'm a huge Chicago Bulls fan. Now, 14th in the Eastern Conference, guys, they are 27th in points per game. They are 25th in rebounds per game and 29th in assists per game. They really don't share the basketball at a high clip. It becomes a lot more of an ISO basketball for them. They lose a lot of height once they lose Vujicic and he comes off the floor. Drummond is a great rebounder, but he's limited offensively. The assist per game, they've really struggled because they haven't really found a true point guard. I thought that when they had the addition here, coming over with Javon Carter, I thought that they were going to be a lot better team than they have been. But they have really, really seriously struggled here. And because of that, I'm looking at this situation, and I think that the Chicago Bulls are going to have to really switch it up. I think that when you look at the Chicago Bulls and what they have, I feel like they're probably going to have to move on. I believe from Levine, as much as I love Levine, or they're going to have to move on from Vujicic, who is into a contract year. I think that they're more headed to probably, maybe a Vujicic situation with him leaving, obviously with an expiring contract, more so than maybe like a Levine or, DeRozan. I still think that there's growth there, but I think that the Bulls really never kind of addressed, like, I think the elephant in the room, and they never really got any kind of shooter. And they also, too, never really went out and they never got another big to kind of go with Vujicic, even though they've kind of complained about how the offense is. You see Lonzo Ball up here. Alex Caruso's been in and out of the lineup with injury, and I just don't like the way that the Bulls are trading. I think that they're going to have to make a deal in order to make something happen. When I look at the Knicks and the Cavs, so starting with the Cavs have been a bit of a appointment to me because the Cavs have been in a place where they've been injured. With starting with Donovan Mitchell, you look at his situation. He's already missing with the hamstrings. This has been something that has been really current with his career with the Utah Jazz, and now it looks like it's coming over here. Darius Garland, he had injuries concerns coming out of college, injuries now to start off the season. Jared Allen has had a slow start. They do not have, or they brought Max Strus over, and Max Strus has been really up and down to me. He had one monster game where he had the 21 and 11, stuff like that as far as the boards, but his inconsistency has really scared me. Even though he has brought an element of three-point shooting that they really truthfully needed, they haven't really been able to really put it on the same page. But I think with Cleveland, the bigger issue with them is the fact that they don't have all their pieces together. So probably we can't necessarily kind of make that judgment just yet for them. Knicks. Okay, so the deal with the Knicks is they elected to run it back. Okay, and so I get it with Tom Thibodeau wanting to run it back. There's not a problem with that. I just really majorly have a problem with the fact that they ran it back, and I don't understand why they're not using Devin Gento more in this particular situation. I think that he could be a real benefit for them. I think that they're really starting to see the issues that kind of come along with RJ Barrett. I mean, right now they're 30th in the league as far as points per game, only at 103. They are second as far as rebounding the basketball, so they do a good job there. They're not getting enough shares. They're 28th in the league at 21.2 assists per game, and offensive rebounds, they've been outstanding as well. But the offense has been limited. It is a situation where I just look at this and I say to myself, like, at some point, the Knicks have got to probably go ahead and figure it out or shake it up here. I think that they're in a situation, man, where they have got to get some efficiency out of Julius Randle. He hasn't been very efficient from the floor. It looks like at times he gets upset with players. I mean, I think I recently saw a video here where, he was kind of shrugging off a shot from his point guard, and that's kind of not a good situation when you see that there. Um, yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of situations here where I don't like about the Knicks, and I think that they're going to have to ultimately shake it up here. I think that Jalen Brunson is their guy. He's for sure their stud, but they've got to figure out a way basically to go ahead and make this thing work, or they're going to have to shake it up very quickly. The Pacers, and so the Pacers are another team. They're currently sitting at seventh. I thought that they would be in this situation. I think that a lot of this really depends on the health of Tyrese Halliburton, which you see on the screen here. I think he's been incredible when he's been in the basketball game. He missed a little bit of time, I think, with an ankle. Miles Turner's been fabulous as well. Buddy Hill's been able to get in there. But more importantly, Bruce Brown has been very good for them. You have Benedict Mathurin, who's been able to kind of slide into his position and score the way he's wanted to score. The Pacers are going to be one of the most exciting teams in the league. Right now, they are fifth in scoring at 120, so they get up and down the floor. Assists per game, that is Halliburton. He has been incredible. But they really struggle rebounding the basketball. And I think that really comes down to the fact that they've got to find something else other than Miles Turner. I think that they really take a huge hit when he comes off of the floor. And when you look at this roster, it is very small. So I think at some point, they're going to have to turn to their highly picked player here out of Houston, Jace Walker. He played pretty well in the summer league. I think that they are really going to have to give this young man an opportunity to get out there and really help that interior and help them get some rebounding. I think that is very important for them, because when I look at this roster, outside of Miles Turner, I feel like that they get really small and they get very guard oriented. So they have got to figure out a way to get some height out there to help rebound this basketball, because the more that you give up secondary opportunities, the better the chance of the other team scoring. And if you're a good defensive rebounding team, you're taking away their second chance opportunities and giving your team a better chance at scoring the basketball. So as far as the standings so far in the East, that's what I see there. Let's shift focus and let's go over to the Western Conference division, guys. This is by far one of my favorite. Let me start off here with the Golden State Warriors. You guys know that I'm pretty heavy with the Golden State Warriors. I think that when you look at the Golden State Warriors, this is a team that is much improved, guys. They are already in a situation where they have won a lot more road games than before last year at this point in time. They're 4-0 on the road, which is very impressive. Mentally, that is a mental improvement for them, the mental toughness, and they are second in the West. And quiet as it's kept, they didn't add a whole bunch of hype, but they added just enough, okay? Because they got Darko Saric there. They have Jonathan Kuminga there. And then they've also got some really good contributions here from Moses Moody. They obviously have gotten Chris Paul over here. And so the real benefit of this is that when you look at this thing, Chris Paul has not really played exceptionally well, and Draymond Green is just really finding his footing. And Andrew Wiggins hasn't even found himself yet. Neither is Klay Thompson. So the fact that the Golden State Warriors are winning right now, very impressed with what they have been able to do as they are second in the West here. I expect for them to be very good. I think that they're going to be there at the end. I think the people that have written off Golden State, as Charles Barkley would say, that they're cooked, Golden State is absolutely not cooked. They will have a say in the West. Next up, let's talk about the Denver Nuggets here. So the Denver Nuggets have been quite a surprise in the sense that they are first in the West. I mean, we knew that they were good. I just didn't know how they would respond after losing the bench like this. Reggie Jackson has stepped up very well for them. A little scary that Jamal Murray had a little hamstring tightness. He's been out, but for the most part, he's been reliable since coming back from the knee injury. The Joker has been fabulous. He's been an MVP level already. He's making plays out there. This is a very talented team. I expect for the Denver Nuggets to essentially be there at the end as well. Not seeing too many teams that are going to beat them on the East or the West. Next up, guys, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give them their flowers, and that is going to be the Dallas Mavericks. Right now, they are playing fabulous, and it's really scary because Kyrie Irving has already missed games, but they're still winning the games. And I think that mainly is the fact that Tim Hardaway Jr. has been able to come in and be such a great player. He has come in and been probably one of the best scorers off the bench this season. He's averaging 18, 4 rebounds, and an assist per game. I think that he's really embraced that role of coming off the bench. And I think that Jason Kidd probably sees a lot of probably what you saw with Jason Terry when he played with him in Dallas. And then I think it's been quite a surprise with Derek Lively. I think Derek Lively is a guy that I was high on coming out of the summer league. I think that this was a guy that was destined to start. I thought that he was going to be like a Jarrett Allen type of player. He's averaging 7 and 7. It's tough for him to really learn how to shoot the basketball just yet, but I think he's going to get a lot of opportunities at the rim, which he is. He's learning how to be a rim protector, which is perfect. He's going to get a lot of stuff pushed to him because the exterior defense of Kyrie and then Luka is not that great. But hey, they've been solid. I love the fact that they went out and got Grant Williams. He's showing these guys how to go out here and win. And I think that you're seeing a little bit of a mentality shift thus far with Dallas. So I like where they're trending right now. The Pelicans, they're sitting at fourth. You got the Clippers at fifth, and then you got San Antonio sitting here at sixth. So the Pelicans are good. They're as expected. I think that really the question for them as they go as Zion Williams kind of goes at this point. And you wonder, will Zion Williams, CJ McCollum, and Brandon Ingram, who just returned back, be able to be healthy here? They do have Jose Alvarado, the big energizer bunny. But how about Jordan Hawkins and what he's been able to do out of Connecticut? He's really starting to come on. He's averaging 9 points a game. I told you guys that I thought that his shot reminds me a lot of kind of what Ray Allen is. I know he's shooting the ball up effectively, but I think that you're going to see him really start to knock stuff down as he gets later into the year, and definitely as he gets into year two, in year three. So I think that the Pelicans for sure. They've got a steal in this guy. It's just a matter of, can they hold on to him? I think is the question here. So very impressed thus far with the Pelicans, although I'm not really sold so far on the injuries. You're looking at the Timberwolves. They're seventh here. I'm not saying that I'm disappointed here, but they are seventh, just ahead of the Lakers and the Trailblazers. I did expect for the Lakers to be a bit more better than what they are now. I'm in a point with the Lakers where I think that they're going to be there, minus the injuries from Jared Vanderbilt. They've had some injuries there. I think that Christian Woods has played terrific. LeBron has played well. Anthony Davis has played well thus far. I don't like the fact that they have had to really lean so much on to Anthony Davis and LeBron thus far. But if you're going to lean, you probably want to start now. So they're getting it out the way. And I think that as they come together a little bit better as a team, I like the Lakers down the stretch because, you guys know I said that the Lakers probably won the offseason. I really think that that's true. I think the fact that they were able to go out here and really pick up a lot of their stars that they had, a lot of the stars that they had last year, whether it was D'Angelo Russell and Vanderbilt and Hercher Moore, they picked up this guy, Cam Reddish, Jackson Hayes. So they're really deep. And I expect for the Lakers to be okay, even if they have to sit Anthony Davis and LeBron. But Minnesota, been a bit of a disappointment. I think at some point they're going to have to move on from Rudy Gobert. But going back to it, I got to talk about the San Antonio Spurs. How about Wembanyama? Okay, Victor Wembanyama has been very impressive. 20 points a game, 8 rebounds a game, an assist per game. I think his assist total will go up a little bit more as he learns how to play with his teammates. More importantly, the foul trouble. But listen, guys, in his debut game, he had 15. His next game, he had 21. He had 11. He had 18 and 38. So to all the haters out there, are you please ready to shut up? Because this guy can play basketball. I told you he could play basketball before. This was a guy that I said, look, when it came down to it, yes, I know that it was a little rough in summer league and stuff like that, but he was just now getting out there. Okay, so look, he has gotten better. It looks like he's getting stronger by the day. It looks like he's getting stronger by the minute. And this is a newsflash, guys. He's only 18, 19 years old. This guy is going to be he's going to be a stud in this league for a while. I think that he is the unicorn. I think that he is the next best coming to LeBron James. I really feel like at the end of the day that people are going to be talking about Wembanyama, and they're going to be talking about the fact that this guy is a household name. So, I think it's appropriate that we go ahead and we give the Spurs their flowers out there. And I mean, to be honest with you, they're playing pretty well. They're playing pretty doggone well right now with what they have. And I think Popovich is probably having one of his more funner years, I think, as a coach here in this one. And I think that, you look at Trey Jones, you look at Jeremy Sokin, you look at Devin Vassell, who just went out the injury, was having a career year, but they're going to be good. They're going to be good. And I think what they're doing now is they're putting a sample size out there, and I could see veterans wanting to come and play for Pops and play with Wembanyama here. So very impressed with that man. Going back here, one of the teams that I'm not surprised about and what their situation is going to be the Memphis Grizzlies. You see them on the screen. The point being, they needed to get some hype. They struggled when Ja Morant was off the floor. They never really addressed that. They don't have a big man to speak of other than Jaren Jackson. And you know what it comes down to with his foul trouble situation. Ja Morant adds another dynamic to these guys. I think that Memphis is in some real trouble. I think that they're headed for a major rehaul on this team. One of the surprises here in the West, and not necessarily a surprise, but I'm very happy for them, Coach Nduka and what he has been able to do with the Rockets. They have played well. Dylan Brooks seems to have restored his career, Dylan the villain. I'm glad that he's playing very well right now. Obviously, you see Sagoon on the screen. Sagoon has played very well. Kevin Porter Jr. is no longer on that roster. But Jabari Smith has played well. Van Fleet has played pretty decent. Like, this is a team that is coming together. It's a team that I think is going to be scary in the long haul. And I like their chances so far. I mean, I think right now they're on pace for more games than they won a season ago. So you have to take your hat off to what Coach Nduka has been able to do and how they've completely regutted that Houston team and actually turned it into the culture has just shifted and changed in a lot of different ways. So next up, guys, let's talk about the OKC Thunder. Surprised that they're in 10th right now. A lot of potential here with them. Chad Holmgren has been fabulous thus far, but the young guys have gotten off to a poorish start so far. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been injured and missed some time already. I don't like that. But this is a team that I expect for them to be a lot better here. So they've got a lot of young depth, young shooters here. So I expect for OKC to turn it on. I'm a little disappointed right now that they're sitting 10th, but I'm very impressed with what Chad Holmgren has done. Not saying he's going to be rookie of the year, but he's certainly going to be right there. Portland sitting at 9th. They're sitting tough. I think one of the things that's really kind of stood out for me is the fact that Scoot Henderson has struggled. He's missing his second straight game with an ankle injury. He's only averaging 8 points a game, 4 assists a game and 2 rebounds a game. I thought he was going to be a little bit more dynamic. He's really struggled to kind of find his rhythm out there. And so this is something that I think Coach Chauncey Billups will help him with. There's plenty of minutes right now for him. They're 27th in points per game. They're 11th in rebounds per game, 30th in assists per game, and 9th in offensive rebounds. So there's just nothing but potential and minutes for Scoot Henderson here. Now, guys, let's go on back, and I want to talk mainly here about the James Harden trade. As promised here, I'm going to throw them up on the screen. And I just think that this is a trade where, to me, I think initially that Philadelphia has won this trade thus far. Okay, I know it's so early, but I think that basically what happened with Philadelphia is this. When you look at their roster, and I just talked about the situation with Tyrese Maxey, right? Tyrese Maxey, I think, was so fabulous thus far in the first couple games thus far that basically Daryl Morey was like, we have to move on from James Harden. Like, it would be it would be less beneficial for us as a team to keep James Harden on there, and then pretty much we're going to limit Tyrese Maxey and his growth because he's definitely the lead guard here. He plays well with Joel Embiid, very humbled, averaging 26 a game, 5 rebounds a game, 6 assists a game. Like he is really having a major impact in year 3. He had to play. I think another surprise for Philly was the fact that they got such a great contribution from Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre has averaged 21 points a game, 4 rebounds a game. He's averaging just about an assist a game, but he has been spectacular for them as far as shooting the three-pointer. And I think because that they've gotten rid of James Harden now, it's going to open it up a little bit more for Tobias Harris. Suddenly, a team with Philadelphia where it wasn't looking as sexy, it looks real sexy right now for Philly. Like I think that Philly is still got that grit and toughness, but now I feel like the basketball might be a little bit more free flowing between a lot of other pieces. And it's going to take a lot of pressure off of Joel Embiid. Like right now, if Joel Embiid is not there, I think that this Sixers team could still win because Joel Embiid could still lose some time due to an injury. I think that the fact that they've kept Paul Reed is huge for them. I think that that's going to help them. I do really feel that way. On the Clippers side of things, it's scary to me, okay, because over the last couple of seasons, Kawhi's been hurt, Paul George has been hurt, and when you look at James Harden, he's been hurt to soft tissue injuries like hamstrings. So that really concerns me, as far as the amount of twerk that James Harden has been putting on his body and mileage. And I don't think he's that MVP like he was before. And I'm not going to disrespect him and say that he can't affect the winning column because he is. He's going to be able to get you baskets when you need one. When the offense breaks down, he's going to be able to do that for you. I just have the issue that is the offense going to get a little too stagnated? And is it going to be, it looks to me like it's like the same situation that the Nets had a couple of years ago. Like I expect for him to get on the floor. They're going to have a ton of energy. Initially, the lineup's going to be defensive minded, a lot better with PJ Tucker out there. But it really scares me when the Clippers start to go to the bench minutes now, because the bench is going to be critical for this team, especially if injuries occur. And they have essentially given up a lot of their bench, and they have given up a lot of that draft capital as well. So the Clippers got older. They gave up some draft capital. They gave up some depth on the bench. And now you're going to basically say, okay, to Russ and James Harden, I love both of those players, but neither one has really shown that they have been able to play off the ball. And that also means if you're looking at the screen right now and you're looking at 2K24 gameplay, they're predicting that James Harden would start along with Kawhi, with Paul George, with Tucker, and Zubac, meaning that Russell Westbrook has to come from off the bench again. Russell Westbrook was just finding his rhythm again. He's averaging 15, 7, and 7. Don't put him back into that Lakers role where he is standing off the ball having to make jump shots. Like I hate that for Russ. Like he's just that kind of guy that you need to have the ball in his hand. So Bones Highland was good off the bench, but now you're going to have to rely on guys like Brandon Boston. And for the first time, you're looking at Kobe Brown from Missouri, who I like him, but he's a rookie at 6'7". He plays like Elton Brand, but he is a rookie. Terrence Mann coming off the most injury stint here of his career. He's usually very healthy. Now he's going to have to slide into a bench role and come off back to that. And so, yeah, you have Mason Plumlee, and then it's like it just really it falls off. You have to go with Amir Kofi, Brandon Boston. You're going to have to really have to lean on him. Is Joshua Primo? Is he a guy that's going to start seeing the minutes? Because he's probably going to have to. When I look at the bench, I'm just going to list some heights for you guys: 6'6", 6'2", 6'7", 6'5", 6'4". 6'5". They just get smaller coming off the bench. So I don't like that in the West when you have to go through the teams like the Lakers. You have to go through the Joker. Even right now, you're going to need somebody to bang with Zion Williams. You're going to need somebody to bang with Lively right there with the Mavericks. You need some people that are going to be able to kind of bang inside there with the Kamingas. You know, even if you go up against Minnesota, you need to get something to go against Gobert and Towns and those guys like that, and OKC, Chet Holmgren. So they lose a lot of height, they lose a lot of depth, excuse me. So initially, right now, I feel like that the Philadelphia 76ers are going to win this trade long term, especially since the fact you look at the Eastern Conference. The East is a layup, I think, besides Boston and Milwaukee. Like Philly can sneak right in there with this depth now. Now they've kind of getting themselves out of what is really going on in the East, where it's very top heavy with stars. Now they're going to rely a little bit more on a team play. I like this approach. This is the first time since Brett Brown was there where they had a lot of depth there with JJ Redick. They had Dark Saric there. They had Fultz. They had Ben Simmons. They had Embiid. They had multiple pieces that they could throw at you off the bench. I think they had McConnell as a guard. So they had like a lot of different pieces. And that's why, Philly was able to get that resurgence, right? When you heard of be patient or whatever that, Joel Embiid had basically said, as far as he sloganed the Philadelphia 76ers there about being patient. And that's what they were able to do. They were able to build with foundational pieces. And I think that now that they've gone away from that star-studded, we have 2-3 stars and the rest are others, they've really made it a little bit more of expansive roster. So I definitely like what they have. I think that they're going to get tons of value with Kenyon Martin Jr. I really loved what he was able to do with the Clippers and the Rockets in his limited size. Like his dad was very good, Kenyon Martin. So, man, they got a lot back. So Philly, trust me, guys, Philly is in a good situation. Even if they move on from Joel Embiid, they have a lot of draft capital. The Clippers gave up a lot, guys. Look at what Shea Alexander turned into when they got Paul George, okay? This is like that same kind of situation. I'm telling you now, you don't see another Shea Gillis going to Philly, but that is probably what is going to happen because Philly got so much draft capital and depth, guys. So with that being said, I mean, that is today's show for the most part, guys. I just wanted to go ahead and give you some news and updates, let you know who won the trade here, who didn't win the trade in the James Harden situation. As we close today, guys, I just want to say I want to thank Anchor for being our platform, which is now a Spotify podcast. I want to go ahead and thank YouTube here, which actually houses the show as well. You can catch us at Real Talk Sports with Rico there. Also thank the sponsors out there who put sponsorship on the show and the fans out there who have chimed in on a week-to-week basis here to help us drive content to the show, guys. So with that being said, guys, this is myself, Rico. This is Real Talk Sports, and we're out of here. I'll see you guys on the next show. Peace.